You ever fuck a chicken so hard it exploded? Welcome to today's episode. Today we're talking a little bit about hecklers and why they don't fucking exist for magic. Now I know that's a hyperbole, all right? That's obviously exaggeration just to get my point across. You will encounter some hecklers when it comes to your little bit of a magic career, but you know what? For the most part, they're not really hecklers, and today we're gonna talk as to why it is that you need to stop being a whiny bitch. Now, when it comes to entertaining others, you're gonna get people that are gonna shout out. You're gonna get people that are gonna ask questions. Now, we can't compare magic to stand-up comedy for the reason that any conversation that takes place during a stand-up show is considered heckling, because that's the nature of the show. If I'm here doing my set talking about, I don't know, comparing masturbating to 9/11, and I'm doing my set and somebody happens to be talking, well, that person is heckling because that's not the nature of this particular show. I'm supposed to be talking, they're supposed to be listening and laughing. Anything that comes out in terms of them shouting, that's heckling, and I have every right to come over there and choke the life out of their stupid bag of cum body. With that being said, magic is completely different. Magic we can't compare. We find ourselves comparing it to stand-up comedy all the time. We cannot compare them. They're different. When it comes to magic, what are you doing? You're going up to an individual and having them participate in what is essentially a lie. It's a farce because you're pretending that something exists. When it comes to magic tricks, we're essentially lying through our teeth. We're telling them that, hey, look, I'm gonna put this card in the middle, and by putting it in the middle and snapping my finger, all right, by snapping my finger and saying the magic word, my father doesn't love me, that card comes to the top of the deck. Now, is that really what happened? No, of course not. It's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie. But the expectation among the group of virgins that I consider my cohorts is that if a spectator asks, hey man, how'd you do that? Or wow, that's crazy. Or damn man, you should show me how you did that. I don't believe you. Let me look at the deck. Let me make sure that there are no other cards that are similar to that one. They believe that that is a form of heckling. I don't think so. I think you're being a baby back bitch. But let me tell you why, okay? So when it comes to this, you're telling something to a spectator that is otherwise insane for them to believe. You're coming up to them and saying, hey, look, listen, all right, everything that you've ever believed about life, it's not real. It's not, and I'm about to show you why. Look at this dollar bill floating in midair. Oh, you don't believe that I could actually make this dollar bill float in midair? Well, you're just a heckler, bitch. You're just a heckler. And I'm gonna complain about you on a forum that's mostly perused by people on the registry. It doesn't make sense for us to think that they're just gonna believe everything that we tell them at face value. And it doesn't make sense that when we have a group of people that we happen to be performing for, that at least one of those individuals is gonna go, wait a minute, wait a second. Let me look at that deck of cards. Let me see this. And honestly, it's your fault as a magician. It's your fault as a magician. Every time I bring up this point, I seem to get a little bit of flack in the comments, but you know what? It's a valid point to make. Every heckler is created by a magician. Every Joker is created by a Batman. Every Jeffrey Epstein is created by a thick 10-year-old boy. Whenever it comes to a heckler, look at what you've said. All right, look at what you've said. Look at how you've introduced yourself. Look at how you're presenting yourself in your cheap suit. All right, look at how you're presenting yourself. And imagine yourself watching you. How would you react? How would you react to somebody saying, hey, look, I'm gonna take this card, put it in the middle, and by snapping my finger, this apparent thing that we've only done to waiters in Argentinian restaurants, this thing right here is gonna cause that card to go from the middle to the top of the deck. It's bullshit. So think about what you say. Whenever you say stuff, think about it. Have it carefully crafted, record yourself, make sure that you're aware of everything that comes out of your mouth, because some of it could be unintentionally confrontational, and that is what they latch onto. And that is what certain people will be like, you said this, and you know what? I'm gonna challenge you on that claim. Let me look at that deck. Let me look up your record and make sure that you could actually be around my kids. So that's one of the best pieces of advice that I could give as to not having hecklers in your performance, and that's not creating hecklers in the first place. Thinking about what you're saying. Now, with that being said, I did mention stand-up comedy and magic and how we seem to make the correlation that these two are one and the same when they're very different. Again, when it comes to stand-up comedy, you're here, they're there. When it comes to magic, you're here and they're right here. and you're making claims that are otherwise unsubstantiated apart from what you're doing in this little confined space when you're next to the spectator and breathing their air. So of course they're going to question certain things. When you borrow a coin from them and you say, look buddy, I'm going to bend this coin, and then you bend it, and then another person comes in and says, hey, how about you bend this one, and you go, oh, you're just a heckler, why are you heckling me? No, they're curious. You've made a claim. All right. If I could just go around bending coins like it was all good, you don't think that I'll just be bending every piece of change that I get from now on onto infinity? I'd just be getting change and going here, here. But you're making a claim that you could somehow do it with this signed quarter, and you expect spectators not to want you to bend their coins? I know that's a very specific reason, and I'm bordering on the edge of virginity here, but within the magic community, it makes sense because that's something that we do. God, if you're a layperson watching this, could you imagine? If you're a female watching this, could you imagine what you think about me for just having all these thoughts about something as simple as an interaction between two humans? I hope you guys are appreciating what I'm doing for you. I'm here risking it all. I'm here risking never seeing a pussy ever again just to make sure that you guys get a little bit of advice when it comes to your magic tricks. Now, when I say hecklers don't exist, it's obviously hyperbole. It's obviously some form of clickbait. But here's the thing. At some point, you are going to interact with some drunken frat boy, all right, that's going to take it up on himself to be the alpha of the group. And it's your job to diffuse the situation. It's going to be your job to look at this guy and make this guy your magic bitch. So you do a trick for him, you're gonna do something for him that's gonna absolutely murder him. And then he's gonna realize, oh shit, this guy's actually good. But that's not gonna be an easy performance, and that might actually be somewhat of a little bit of a heckler because of the inebriation, but not because of the fucking fact that he's asking questions, all right? Not because of the fact that he's curious as to what you're doing, but because he's drunk as shit and because he wants to stick his dirty dick inside of the dirty bitch that's next to him that for some reason he decided to take to the same place that you happen to be performing at. So these are all extraneous factors that might actually lead to the creation of a heckler that are out of your control. But these are very rare circumstances, all right? And these are circumstances that you could still be able to diffuse, or if the situation gets too out of hand, just walk away. Just walk away. This seems to be one of the questions that I see that are most prevalent when it comes to asking magicians, when it comes to Q&A, like how do you deal with hecklers? Well, first of all, what's a heckler in your book? Is a heckler somebody that says, let me see that deck? Because that's not a heckler, you bitch. Is a heckler somebody that says, hey, wait, let me shuffle those cards? That's not a heckler, you baby back bitch. Is a heckler somebody that comes up and says, hey man, you're short and your father left you and you're never gonna find the love of another female? Yeah, that might be a heckler. That might actually be a heckler. So pick your battles here. You have the ability to pick your battles. If you give the deck for somebody to shuffle and they're shuffling and dropping cards everywhere and making an ass of themselves, just say thank you guys and then walk away. Don't be that guy that's, oh, I wonder how I'm gonna diffuse this situation. You don't have to do shit. You don't have to do shit. If somebody's being an asshole and going out of their way just to be a complete and total dick, you don't have to be there. There's no trick. There's no, oh, how do you deal with this? Here's my next point. Here's my next point, and the part that I really wanted to make this video about, because whenever I get these questions on Instagram or YouTube about how do you deal with hecklers and how do you deal with people asking you all these questions, here's the thing. It boggles my mind because magicians don't seem to want to be people. They don't want to seem to think like an individual. Hey, what do you do if a spectator reaches into your pocket? What would you do right now? If you're walking to the grocery store and a dude reaches into your pocket, you're gonna go, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Unless he's attractive, in which case you're gonna go, dude, go deeper. Some guys could get it. Some guys could get it. I'm not gay. What would you do as a human? What would you do as a person if somebody reaches into your pocket? Don't ask like a fucking magician. Don't think that there's some sort of difference between you as a magician and you as a person. What would you do if you get change from somebody at the grocery store? You get the change and then somebody grabs the change and then starts looking at it. You're gonna go, dude, what are you doing? Stop, don't do that, that's mine. You would do stuff like a human first. There's no magic way around stuff. Be a person first. Don't think like a magician, be a person. And you're gonna find that you're gonna be able to diffuse most situations because you're gonna approach it like a human. Magicians seem to think that they're not human. And you know what? In some aspects, they're not when it comes to their bodily odors. And that stank, seriously, clean yourself, wash your ass. So that's my rant. That's my little bit of advice today in terms of hecklers and making sure that you're aware of the beast that you consider to be a heckler not potentially existing. So you could stop your forum posts. You could stop asking questions about it. You could stop putting it up on Facebook and saying, no, man, I dealt with another guy today that had me shuffle a deck and they ruined my stack. It ruined my stack. You're never going to see a pussy. So I hope you guys appreciated it. I know, it's hard to hear. It's hard to hear, but it's necessary. I'm like the father that I never had. I'm instilling the fathership that I never had onto you guys because I don't want you guys not to have fathers. So technically, I could take that role of dad when it comes to Magic and not anything else because, bitch, I ain't paying for your child support. I'm going to go figure out different ways to use dumbbells to find smart bells. You could use the snap change as a color change, by the way. I don't know if this is aware. You could do this like that. I've been working on that. This is my virginity here. And the fact that I think that the quarantine is getting to me. But you could somehow justify holding this card, right? Maybe it's a Joker. And then you do a snap change. And then you could actually change that card as well. It's very angly, and you kind of have to do it the right way. But I've done it in a couple of times, and I'm like, oh, that actually looks cool. So you could use the snap change as a color change for this card and not this card. Just a little bit of quarantine madness here. No pussy. I will never see a pussy ever again.